You don't remember the hole. You don't remember the score. What you remember is that sound. That one strike, the first time the ball left the club face and didn't just fly, it sang. You felt it more than you heard it, a vibration that echoed down the shaft and into your bones. You were maybe 9, maybe 10, choking down a borrowed 7-iron at the local muni, standing on turf barely softer than the parking lot. But that shot, high, clean, unforced, it felt like something divine had moved through you, and that was it. That one moment was enough. Enough to ruin you. Nobody warned you what kind of game golf really is. They just smiled when you started hitting the ball straighter, encouraged you when you asked for range tokens instead of video games, told their friends how focused you were. But golf doesn't reward discipline, it demands obsession. And obsession starts with illusion. The illusion that you can own this game, that with just enough reps, just enough data, just enough gear, you can solve it. It's a lie and you bought it young. You practiced in silence, not because someone told you to, but because something inside you needed it. You liked the repetition, the structure, the false control. While other kids chased dopamine on screens, you were chasing sequence, grip, setup, takeaway, turn. You liked how nothing else existed between you and the ball, how the world got small when you hovered the club behind it. But even then, it wasn't peace you were chasing, it was proof. Proof you weren't just lucky that one time. The first few good rounds felt like confirmation. You flushed wedges you barely understood. You started shaping shots without meaning to. The ball did things it shouldn't for a kid your size. Coaches noticed, your parents noticed. Tournaments entered the picture. Suddenly, it wasn't just a game anymore, it was a path, a pursuit. And the scariest part? You wanted it. You really, really wanted it. Because that one shot, that one pure strike, it never left you. You kept chasing it. And on some level, you believed that if you could repeat it enough times, everything else in life would start to make sense too. That shot wasn't just contact, it was clarity. And once you've tasted clarity like that, nothing else measures up. You start sacrificing things you don't even know you're giving away. Sleepovers, pizza nights, beach trips. Can't, I've got a tournament. You say it like a badge of honor, but a part of you feels it. The part that wonders if maybe this is how people start becoming ghosts in their own lives. But the range is always waiting. The putting green is always quiet, and you always tell yourself it's worth it. Eventually, the game gives you just enough success to keep going. You beat kids older than you. You collect trophies that look better on shelves than they feel in your hands. Adults start using words like next level talent and college potential, and for a while, it works. The grind feels righteous, the pain in your lower back feels noble, the calluses on your hands feel earned, but something starts to shift. You stop playing to chase joy, you start playing to avoid collapse. Because even back then, even in the early days, the misses hurt. Not just the scorecard, you. Your sense of worth, your sense of identity. You started tying them to numbers. Fairways hit, putts per round, scoring average. People praised you when you played well and got quiet when you didn't. You noticed, you internalized it, you kept working, you thought that was the answer. But golf doesn't care. It never cared. That first strike, that perfect, clean, center-face, cloud-splitting shot, it didn't mean you were chosen, it just meant you were tricked early. Because once you know how good it can feel, every round becomes a reminder of how far off you are. And the worst part? You still believe you can get back to that feeling. It doesn't happen all at once. The obsession builds in layers. One missed putt becomes 20 minutes on the putting mat. One pull hook becomes a deep dive into swing plane theory at 2 a.m. You don't say you're obsessed, you say you're dialed in, committed, focused, but it's there. It's always there. In your texts, in your browser history, in the way your grip starts forming in your sleep. You're not playing the game anymore. The game is playing you. You start measuring your worth by strike quality. Start charting your range sessions like you're launching rockets. You swing until your hands bleed, and then you look up YouTube drills to fix why they bled in the first place. You read mental game books that make you question whether you even know how to breathe properly. You shadow swing in grocery lines. You rehearse pre-shot routines in the shower. You're not trying to get better anymore. You're trying to become perfect, and that's the trap. Because golf gives you just enough feedback to keep hope alive. You shoot 76 on a windy day and think you're close. You lip out 3 birdie putts in one round and convince yourself the gods owe you one. But the truth is, the game owes you nothing. And you know that. You've seen the guy who hits every green and still shoots 80. You've been the guy who stripes it on the range and chunks his first wedge into the water. You tell yourself that's just golf, but deep down, you're scared. Scared that no matter how good you get, it'll never be enough. And still, you grind. Because the alternative is worse. The thought that someone else right now is outworking you. That there's a junior at your course or a college kid you used to beat, now training harder, putting in hours while you're scrolling aimlessly or skipping range work because your back's a little tight. You can't have that. So you show up, you hit balls until your fingers go numb, you ice your wrists and tell people it's just inflammation, not injury. You track every stat like you're scouting yourself for a tour invite. And outside that little world, nobody gets it. Friends stop inviting you places because they know what you'll say. Your partner doesn't understand why one bad round ruins your mood for 3 days. Coworkers think golf is just a hobby, a leisure activity with polos and car beers. You laugh when they say that, but inside, it hurts. Because they don't know how much you've given this game. How many early mornings and late night drills, how many silent car rides home after triple bogey finishes, how many rounds ended with you staring into your own reflection in the windshield, wondering what the hell is wrong with you. You try explaining it once, that feeling when the swing finally clicks, when the ball flies on the exact window you saw in your mind, when the putt drops and time stands still. You try putting that into words and they nod like they get it, but they don't. Not really. Not unless they've chased that feeling too. Not unless they've stood over a 4-footer with a heart rate of 140 and a brain screaming, "Don't miss, don't miss, don't miss." So you stop trying to explain. You just keep grinding, quietly, obsessively. Because even if nobody else understands, the game does. And on your best days, when everything sinks for even a few holes, it feels like the universe whispers back, "This is who you are." Even when it hurts, even when it's lonely, even when it breaks you, you keep chasing. There's a moment you wait for, a finish line you think will make it all make sense. Breaking 8-0, winning your flight, getting your name on a leaderboard that doesn't look like a grocery receipt. You convince yourself that once you get there, the obsession will quiet down. That satisfaction will finally outrun self-doubt. But it doesn't. You break through, and instead of peace, all you feel is pressure. The bar didn't vanish, it just moved. Maybe you shoot 74 at a course that used to bully you. Maybe you qualify for something that once felt like a fantasy. Maybe you finally get that swing tip to stick, and for 5 straight rounds, you feel like a machine. But the problem with feeling dialed is that it becomes the new standard. You used to be proud of solid. Now anything over par feels like a breakdown. You can't go back, you won't let yourself. Because if you admit that one bad round doesn't define you, then what was the point of all the ones you bled to earn? People start noticing. They say you're good, really good. They ask if you've thought about taking it further, going pro, chasing mini tours, stepping up, and part of you wants to laugh. Because they have no idea. No idea what the margins look like at that level. No idea how many really good players are already out there, already failing to make cuts, already bleeding money just to stay in the hunt. But another part of you wants it. Wants to test yourself, wants to know how far this obsession can stretch before it snaps. So you try. Maybe you enter a bigger event, maybe you train like it matters. Maybe you hire a coach, switch your grip, overhaul your swing because someone told you it could be 5% more efficient. You treat your body like a tool, measuring protein intake, timing carbs, icing joints that feel older than you are. You tell yourself it's all part of the climb, that you're almost there. But almost becomes a place you live in. And good enough turns out to be a trap, not a summit. Because even when you play well, it's never clean. You missed that putt. You pulled that drive. You know what's hiding under the score. You know how close you came to unraveling. And worse, you know someone else played cleaner, scored lower, got noticed. You thought this game would reward mastery, but it doesn't. It rewards timing, nerve, repetition under pressure, and luck. Always luck. You can stripe it all day and get beat by a guy who toe punches wedges and drains putts from downtown. You smile, say good round, shake hands, but deep down, you're screaming. Because you played better, you know you did. Still, you tee it up again the next week and the next. Because the game's done something to you. It's rewired your brain. You can't watch someone else hit balls without feeling the itch in your fingers. You can't walk past a course without wondering what you'd shoot that day. And the irony? You're better than you've ever been, and somehow it still doesn't feel like enough. That's the trick. The closer you get to mastery, the more it reveals how far you still are. It doesn't break you all at once. That would be merciful. No, golf strips you piece by piece. Quietly, slowly, like water hollowing out rock. One tight muscle becomes a weekly tweak. One off day turns into a slump. You start compensating, adjusting things that didn't need fixing. Suddenly your backswing's shorter, your grip's weaker, your posture's off. And you can't even remember when it all started. Just that something feels wrong, and fixing it becomes your full-time job. You tell yourself it's just a phase, that it'll pass. You've had slumps before. You've worked through swing funk, but this one lingers. This one nests in your head and refuses to leave. And worse, you don't know if it's physical, mental, emotional, or all three. You ice after every round now. You stretch before you even hit balls. You'll learn the names of muscles you didn't know existed because they all hurt in different ways. Wrists, hips, spine. Places that never used to speak are now screaming. And when the body starts to whisper no, the mind starts to yell back louder. You stop trusting your swing. You start rehearsing moves mid-round like you're filming a how-to video in your head. You miss one green and suddenly you're 4 holes deep into an existential spiral about release timing and shaft lean. You start fearing certain clubs, avoiding others. Not because you forgot how to hit them, but because you don't trust yourself to execute. That's the worst part. Not the bad shots, the loss of faith. People still say you've got a great swing, still ask for tips, still compliment your tempo, and you smile and give them something simple like keep your head down or trust the process, when inside you're drowning in swing thoughts, choking on doubt. You used to believe this game had a code, a secret you could unlock through reps and grind. Now it feels like it's laughing at you, giving you glimpses of your old self, just to remind you that you're not that player anymore. And it shows. The scores creep up, the confidence drops, you start skipping practice rounds. You bail on casual invites. You stop keeping your stats because you already know they're trending the wrong way. You say you're busy. You say work's crazy. But really, you just can't stomach the idea of confirming what you already fear, that you're losing it. And not in some dramatic collapse, but in a slow, quiet erosion that nobody else notices until it's too late. You watch younger players come up, smooth swings, fearless minds. They post scores you used to shoot, talk trash you used to back up. And you start feeling like a shadow, someone who used to be. You try to be gracious. You say things like, they've got game and they're gonna go far. But inside, you're measuring them against the version of you that you still believe exists, somewhere. You think about quitting sometimes. You tell yourself you'd be fine walking away, that maybe it's just a game after all. But you know that's not true, because this game isn't something you do, it's something you are. And the thought that it might no longer want you, that's what keeps you up. It's not just that the game breaks you, it's that it breaks you in silence, and dares you to keep swinging anyway. You try to move on, you really do. You convince yourself it's just a sport, a hobby, a phase you outgrew. You let the clubs gather dust, you mute the golf accounts on your feed. You say yes to things you used to turn down, weekend trips, lazy mornings, brunch. You smile more, sleep better, your body feels less stiff, your hands stop aching, and for a moment it almost feels like peace. But then you hear it, that sound again. Not yours, someone else's. A flush from the range across the street, or a perfect strike echoing through a broadcast in the background, and it hits you like a punch to the chest. That feeling, that one feeling, the one you've been chasing since you were a kid, the feeling of contact so clean it makes time freeze. You remember exactly what it felt like, where you were, what the air smelled like, how your hands hummed for 2 seconds after impact and the ball soared like it had a soul. That's what makes it hurt. Because you can still remember how it felt, and you're not sure if you'll ever feel it again. You find yourself pulling clubs out of the garage again, just to see. You walk 9 with an old friend, just for fun. You tell yourself you're not keeping score, but you are. You always are. Because that part of you never left. That obsessive, hopeful, foolish part. The part that still believes one perfect swing could make everything feel right again. And sometimes it happens. You catch one pure, middle of the face, clean divot, dead center ball flight. And for a second, everything returns. The years fall away. The pain disappears. You're just there, locked in, tuned out, one with the swing. No mechanics, no numbers, just feel. And then it's gone again. Back into the wind, back into memory. That's the curse. This game makes you believe you can own it. Then it reminds you over and over that you never really did. It lures you with moments so pure they feel eternal, then vanishes the second you try to bottle them. It keeps you hooked not with victories, but with potential, with maybes, with flashes. And no matter how much you give, it always asks for more. You've lost more than strokes chasing this dream. You've lost weekends, relationships, money, peace of mind. You've lost time, real time. Years you'll never get back, bent over putts on dying greens, hoping this time the ball would listen. And it's not that you regret it, it's that you're scared you'd do it all over again if given the chance. That's the part that haunts you. Because for all the pain, all the collapse, All the long walks back to your bag with your head low and your knuckles clenched, you still love it. You still dream about the round where everything clicks, where every shot feels like destiny, where the swing is simple again. But deep down, you know the truth. That round never comes, and that's why it sucks to be a golfer.